this short and sweet. This is the spec that you're going to want to run with 9 times out of 10. You do not want Moonglow, you do not want Solar Beam, you do not want Lunar Showers. You don't want Moonglow because literally mana is not a problem for you unless you're doing high amounts of AoE. Solar Beam, you do not want it. It's a waste of a talent point in my opinion, because in raiding at least, you're never going to use it. There's one boss in Firelands and Dragon Soul that you're ever going to use it on, and honestly someone else can do that job for you. Lunar Showers, I'll explain why in a minute, why you don't want that. Your typical setup, you have a little bit of free range here. You do not need Dream State, but I personally like it. You can put those talents over here and take 4% reduced magic damage. Tier 12 and Tier 13 is all magic damage for you except for the first boss of Dragon Soul. That's all magical damage, so that will help out your healers a little bit. Everything else you don't want. Glyphs, Moonfire, Insect Swarm. I'm assuming you're going with the Tier 13 2 set on your Druid by now. So you're definitely going to want Insect Swarm, Moonfire, and Wrath. There is no other glyph that's worth taking. Star Surge if it's a heavy AoE fight and you're going to be dotting a lot of targets, but that's up to you. Personally, I've never needed it. Minor glyphs, or the middle one, Rebirth, I like Monsoon, and Innervate's very nice. You actually need Innervate. And reduces the cooldown of Starfall by 30 seconds. This is the only glyph in the minor ones that actually going to increase your DPS. Is this one. Next one, Typhoon. You're gonna be switching this on and off, and Unburdened Rebirth. Okay, that was talents, that was glyphs. The reason why I don't want Lunar Showers is because let's just imagine I'm in Solar right now, and I have to kill these 3 targets. I'm gonna do more damage in Solar than I will in any other one, because Solar increases the damage of your mushrooms, your typhoon, your hurricane, and both your dots. Solar increases the damage of insect swarm and sunfire. Lunar does not increase the damage of insect swarm. And when you're doing AoE, the highest damage dealing ability you're going to be doing is mushrooms at 3 or 4 targets plus. So that's why I don't take it. So let's say I'm killing these 3 targets, I'm going to be keeping all my dots on them. So let's just say I'm dotting them, blah 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 blah. Well, if I had Lunar Showers, I now just would have moved 8, 16, I just would have moved 16 energy. Well, in a fight where you're going to be AoEing for at least 30 seconds, your dots, you'll be redotting, you could knock yourself out of Solar or an Eclipse that you want to be in. Which I don't like doing that. That's just my personal preference. It's a waste of 3 talent points. It's very, very niche. Let's say for a couple heroic fights where you have to be taking the crystal for Mortrock, you might want it. Warlord, yeah, I guess you might want it. Heavy mobility fights in Tier 13, you might want it, but it's very situational. Personally, I don't like it when it comes to multi-dotting because it fucks me over and I leave Solar Eclipse when I don't want to. And if you're AoEing, you're going to be staying in Solar. There's a little tip here that it's hard to explain. I don't really know how to explain it. I'll do my best. I figured this out on my own. So let's just get myself to Solar so I can show you real quick. Now this is a dotting trick because we want maximum uptime on our powerful dots. Insect Swarm is now buffed in Solar. my mastery increases nature spells by 54%. That means Insect Swarm is now buffed. Sunfire is now buffed. When I'm in Lunar, Insect Swarm is not buffed. So this is my target. So I'm going to redot Insect Swarm first. Okay, Insect Swarm and that. Now we're at the end. We still have Nature's Grace. Insect Swarm, and then Sunfire. And now this is where the cool part comes in. Now that you've redotted right at the middle, just before you end the eclipse, now I'm in Lunar. I'm gonna go ahead and cast 2 Starfires and then redot. Now these dots that I've just dotted will last all the way until I get to Solar again. That's 6 seconds left. I'm about to make it. Now I redot. Now, what this technique does is it minimizes your dotting time. So if you were to dot right when you hit the eclipse on both times, you'd have to go 2 dots here, 2 dots here, 2 dots here, and 2 dots here. With this technique, you only have to do 2 dots here, 2 dots here, and 2 dots in the middle of Lunar. So you just literally saved yourself 2 global cooldowns. You have Nature's Grace up for the more beneficial periods of it. You want to have Nature's Grace when you're leaving an eclipse to help you get into the next eclipse faster. And your dot uptime is higher for your Insect Swarm and Sunfire than it is for Moonfire. Look at the DPS meter here. Sunfire 14, Insect Swarm 14, Moonfire 5. So this will increase your damage, it will save you 2 global cooldowns, it will give you Nature's Grace at a more beneficial time. That's a little tip and trick. You can't do it on every single boss. If you have to move, you're gonna have to redot because you won't be able to make it. But on a fight like Bellrock, a couple others, more chalk, you're not gonna have to really move around. You can keep this method up. It will help you. Last but not least, haste caps. You have 2 notable haste caps that you got to keep in mind. Your first haste cap is 700 haste, but you're in tier 13 gear already. That's irrelevant. Your second haste cap is 1900. Well, 1929. That's your haste cap. Your next haste cap is 3101. Now, the actual haste cap for 3101 is 5486. 5486. You cannot achieve that amount of haste at standstill. However, with Nature's Grace, which every single dot that you put on the target will be affected by Nature's Grace, your haste cap is now 3101. 3101 is very easy to hit. If you have the Bracers of Flowing Seniority that are crafted, you need the Valor Point Boots and you need the Valor Point Belt. Do not get the tier 13 Dragon Soul Belt that drops from the raid, or the boots, or the Bracers. You do not want those. And you'll actually, in full best in slot gear from Dragon Soul normal, you should be rocking around 3600 haste. And then you're gonna have to reforge down to make your 3101, and that will give you 3101 haste, and it will give you about 18 or 19% mastery. So that's that. People are going to tell you go haste 100%. That's not actually true. Going haste 100% from after 3101 is a complete waste, because the only way that haste would actually be a benefit past this point is if you were sitting on a training dummy, and raid bosses are not training dummies. So you're going to want to go mastery after 3101. You could drop down to 1929 if you really wanted to stack mastery, But I would honestly have 2 sets of gear if you were planning on doing that. For example, if there was high mobility, I would switch to my lower haste rating gear and cheese mastery damage. And if I didn't have to move, I'd go haste. Haste is garbage if you have to move a lot. So I hope this helped you out, man. If you have any questions, just let me know. Take care.